Hey guys, hope you're doing well. So today we're going to be looking at yet another state management tool for React. This one's called Jotai, very similar to Recoil if you know about that one. Very minimalistic API, and it's again another one that's looking pretty nice. So if you enjoy these kind of videos, please consider subscribing, it helps out a lot. And yeah, let's get right into it. So yeah, like I said, we're going to be looking into Jotai. So this one is created by the same organization that created Zustand, which I did a tutorial on last week. They both kind of solve the general state management issue, but they do it in slightly different ways. I'll leave in the description below a link to this issue, which basically describes the difference between them. And it's quite useful to see because, yeah, you can see that Jotai here is similar to Recoil, Zustand is similar to Redux. It's just, yeah, a slightly different state model. And in my next video, or one of my next videos, I'm going to do kind of a comparison of all four side by side in terms of syntax, in terms of performance, etc. And yeah, and when you'd need any of them. So yeah, if you're familiar with Recoil, like I said, you'll be familiar with the term atom, which is basically a kind of a small piece of state or an atomic piece of state. And this is how Jotai works as well. So anytime you need a piece of state, you create an atom, and it's similar to the hooks you can use and set it. And yeah, I think the only thing to point out here is the biggest visual difference, anyways, in terms of syntax from Recoil, that there's no string keys. Yeah, if that's what you like. So yeah, let's get right into it. So if you're not fully clear on what the general state management issue is, I'll leave a link to the video on the top right of the screen. This is my Recoil tutorial. In the first couple of minutes there, I go over just the general issue, why we need any of these state management tools. I've just created a brand new app from Create a React App. So it's just a basic, it's got a nav and a body. The idea here is in the body we've got this kind of profile component and account component. And the idea is what we want is as we type, you can see this changing, but we also want the nav bar to change. It's hard coded right now. You can see that here. And we also want the count to change. It should track the characters in the username here, which is also hard coded. So of course the issue here is that profile has the state, and therefore none of the other components can see it. So let's see how Jotai solves that. So first thing you want to do is npm install Jotai. As you can see, I've run that before. So I'll cancel this one. And once you do that, the first thing you do is you're going to wrap, I guess you wrap your app or wrap wherever you need the state in the provider. So this is the Jotai provider. And this is what in this case, I'm just going to wrap the entire app. And then we just go ahead and create our pieces of state, or we create our atoms. So we're going to do that. We're going to create a username atom, which is just going to hold the username. So syntax here is just, it's a function called atom, and it takes in a default state. So there's a few different overrides. So for this one, we're just going to take in a default state, which is the initial value. And I mean, that's all you really need to get started. So what we do now is we go down to, for example, the profile. Instead of use state, we're going to use atom. So use atom. And instead of the default here, we're just going to pass in the atom that we created. And I save that, and that's it. So you can see that the functionality is still the exact same, but now we're using atoms instead of local state. So the signature is entirely the same. So now what we can do is go up to the nav bar, and we can replace this with use atom and pass in the username atom. And if I just update this, wrap it around with square brackets. In this case, we're only pulling the username. We don't need this set function. And yeah, as I type in now, you can see the navbar is updating. And the final thing I like to show is what derived state looks like. So we need the count of the username. So we could, of course, just copy and paste this and derive the length in this component. But typically, you might want to share that derived state. So what we can do here is simply create another atom. So I'm going to create an atom called count atom, and again, very similar syntax. So we're going to atom, and we're going to use a different argument here. So we're going to use the get, and what this does, this get or this read, basically allows us to read the state from any existing atom. So we can use this get, we can pass in another atom, in this case the username atom, and then we can derive whatever we need. In this case, we just need the length, and that's it. So we've got our count atom, so we go down to the count component, and we use the exact same method that we used before. Use atom. This time we pass it in with count atom, and because this is kind of considered as a a derived atom or a kind of a read-only atom, then we don't need to destructure it because we can't set it. And yeah, that's it. So now you can see that there's a count 3, and yeah, as I type, it updates. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it for this tutorial. As you can see, it's super simple, similar to Recoil, but I think potentially say even a bit simpler. It is in constant development, obviously very early stages as well. So I'd recommend following the GitHub page to see all the additional functionality that I've not covered here. And I think I'll wrap it up there. So thank you very much for watching, and have a good day.